Welcome to Cosmic Wishes, where we turn wishes into cosmic wishes by adding science. Today's special guest is Nachman Hoffman. Welcome to Cosmic Wishes, where we turn wishes into cosmic wishes by applying science. And today my guest is Nachman Hoffman, and I'm going to let Nachman introduce himself. I know him from a different point of view as far as, kind of working together and helping each other. And he's just got such a great message and a great vision and wants to help people, just like we do at Cosmic Wishes. So, Nachman, first just introduce yourself so the guests know who you are, and then we'll get into your wish and applying some science.
Sure. So first of all, thanks for having me. Other people actually know me as Nathan as well. That was my English name growing up. And so I just have a pretty typical story growing up in America, the typical, you know, go after what you want to do and go to college and then try to figure it all out. And so my background's in business. I started at like the Big Four, accounting, and I always loved business. And then somewhere along the way, I learned about Judaism about 10 years later. And then started to become more observant. I started learning what that meant. And I'm really giving the quickest version, but then I basically moved to Israel with my wife. We have a family here now, and I'm helping other individuals like myself that are ambitious how to navigate their lives on a daily basis because you have a lot going on in like the Jewish community. You have a lot of things happening up and down. You have a lot of kids. You're on Shabbat, you are offline for 25 hours. So it's just a lot of and holidays and kosher food and just so many different things. And so I like helping other guys that are ambitious, looking to really transform their lives with systems to help them do that. So that's kind of the quick version. I also work with some women as well. But yeah, I love helping others because of what I didn't have as I went through this process and wish I had.
Yeah, I love how you weave the wisdom into kind of everyday life too. I think that that's really,
Yeah.
and you kind of relate it from what I know from your talks and your Instagrams and everything. So everybody follow Nachman on all the social stuff because he's really making it work. So what we normally do is we'll kind of think about three possible wishes. I know you said you want to hone in on one, and that's totally whatever you want. Um, Generally, like the first wish could be something you want personally or professionally, so it's kind of about you. The second one is what we call a wish that ripples. So, a wish that maybe can reach more people and more people and more people. And I think that's probably where you are. And then I might push you on the third one, which is a whimsical wish. And we're getting some really fun, like the things that people feel like are really out there, but they still are something that they think would be fun to wish for. So that's kind of the idea. But we'll start with, whatever one you want to start with. And then as we do on every show, and I always have like cards and they're all over the place because there's so many of them. But we'll draw from a science card and then we'll apply that science to your wish. And then we'll draw from an activity card and we will apply that activity to your wish. So
Sounds
how does that
great.
sound? Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. So tell us, everybody, your wish and what you want to focus on today. And then
So would you
we'll
like me to start with a personal one that I'd want for myself?
whatever you want, how about just tell me them and then we'll talk about which we should
Okay.
focus on.
So I
Okay.
guess for myself, the biggest thing is my kids flourishing. That would be probably the most important thing for me.
Okay.
So that would be that.
So I wish for
The
my kids to flourish.
Yep. The second
Okay.
one would be it's world peace. And that's like
Okay.
a huge, it's like, I don't know if that's the whimsical one or not.
Oh, well, no, I mean, it's ambitious, but it's not, I wouldn't necessarily call it whimsical,
Yeah.
because that's obviously way up there on the list. And I know that's where you wanted to focus, but, do you have a whimsical one now, or do you want to wait and come back to that?
Um, how would you define whimsical? So maybe
Oh, yeah, I had somebody wish for the Mets to go to the World Series.
uh
That's a little bit out there.
yeah,
But we had so much fun going through what that meant and how to reframe the perspective and actually because there was a lot of wishing against in that world instead of wishing for. And so one of the things that I don't know that you and I talked about separately, Nachman, but the idea of, we call it the 3 Ps. And this, I think this will really resonate with you, is that the wish should follow, it should be peaceful, positive, and purposeful.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, and so, and that is a mindset as well as a physical action of the wish itself, right? In other words, how you're wishing as well as what you're wishing for.
Yep.
And so of course peaceful is, what is the what energy you have going into peaceful. If you're like, I wish for peace, that's not really
Right.
very
Right.
peaceful. Right. And then, obviously positive, you're wishing for something positive instead of anti-war, you're pro-peace. That's a big
Right.
difference because your brain in the science is it works toward, not against, right? If
Right.
you're going against, you're just going to look for more war instead of looking for more peace. And
Yep.
then purposeful, obviously, that it helps more than you, and it helps kind of everybody, right?
Yep.
So shall we do the world peace? And then one thing that, just so you know, and everybody that watching, is sometimes the wish will evolve a little bit. So it may start with world peace, and then we may get a little more specific or honed in, and that really is dependent on the cards. And one of the things I love about this whole process is that I don't know what card's gonna. There are 200 of each card, right? So I don't know which card is going to come up, and I do feel like there's some sort of oracle aspect to that, right? Like the right card generally is coming up for the right person and the right wish. And
So in Judaism, everything is called Hashgacha Pratit, which is divine providence, which there's absolutely no accidents, no matter what. So
there you go. There you go. And I don't know if you know this about me. My first book I wrote is called Five Reasons Why Bad Things Happen. And we could talk about it another time. Actually, Rabbi Kushner read my book, who wrote When Bad Things Happen to Good People, and we can talk
wow,
about that. But I basically, you like, the whole book is everything happens for a reason, and I wrote the book on it, right? So
amazing. I
yeah,
love it.
but it's not all necessarily divine providence, but
Right.
that's
Right.
certainly, what that role is. Okay, so I did drew a card, and
Okay.
the each card, there's a science or more than one science. This is what happens, just one, and this science is psychology. So that's what that little emoji is. And of course, I'm going to read it. Um, and then we're going to apply that to your wish. Okay. So it's psychology, and the title is plot agency. Okay. You're not a victim or the villain. You're the author and hero of your own story. Northwestern psychologist Dan McAdams' research on narrative identity found that people who narrate their lives as redemptive stories, moving through challenge toward growth, report better mental health and life satisfaction than those who focus on the detail or the defeats.
Sounds like me so far.
It feels good though. It feels good for the wish of world peace,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So just give me I know your wisdom and insightful. So where do you feel like from what I said? And I'm happy to read it again if you want, because it was kind of a long one. But how does that resonate with you, and how do you think we can apply that to world peace?
Yeah, I think just how you approach, say, the negative side of things in terms of not seeing it, like you said, as a battle or the negative, like it's, anti-war or this or that, but seeing that there are always going to be sides and there's always going to be differences, but the key is figuring out how to work through those differences in a peaceful way.
That's right. And one of this doesn't say it, but it's kind of inherent in here, is the quote, and I forget who, shame on me. So if anybody knows it, you can make a comment in the comments. And obviously we love comments anyway, but is, that the villain is the hero of their own story.
Right.
Right? And as a writer, because, I make sure everybody knows I'm not a scientist, I'm a storyteller. And as a writer, that's one thing we remember. Like, if you're seeing it from the villain's point of view, they think they're the hero. They think they're justified. They think they have all the reasons for doing everything they're doing. And maybe they're doing it, even for something they think is good for the world. One of my favorite debates, I don't know if you're familiar with the whole Marvel Avengers world. But there's the main villain is somebody called Thanos, and everybody's fighting Thanos, 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 Thanos. But if you look at Thanos, his wish is for us to have a universe that is more livable, and we're not livable because of population overgrowth. So he has a solution to that. So I mean, it's really people go, oh, Thanos, Thanos, and they're always fighting Thanos. But it's like, yeah, but he's such an easy one to see as he's the hero of his own story. He really
Right.
believes what he's doing is right and good and noble, even if people die, because that's what has to happen in order to get to this utopian world
Right.
that he sees, right? And so it's a really fun example of that, but I won't go too far down that since you don't know that story as much. But so that's really what this is about. So I think that, and what I'm kind of getting, and I want to know what you think, is that when you're looking at world peace, it is so important. Now, you said this, I'm just kind of paraphrasing, is that it's important to know that everybody feels like they're the hero of their story, and
Right.
everyone feels like they have a perspective. And so, as soon as you start looking at hero versus villain, then you're creating war, basically, right? You're
Right.
creating conflict. And as a writer, we create conflict so we can get to a story, right? Nobody wants a story to read a story about boy meets girl. Oh, they're happy. They live happily ever after.
Yeah.
The
That's it.
end,
End
right?
story.
Right. That's not a very exciting story. And the reason for that is the rest of what this card says, which is that showing the overcoming of obstacles and how obstacles can be overcome is really what shows what's a hero,
Right.
right? And so, so I what I want to challenge a little bit with you and people listening, and just kind of maybe we can even come back to this because this is such an important one, and maybe do another episode, but is start thinking about things that we can do toward world peace. Let's list the challenges that we're going to have to overcome. Let's be really clear about that instead of just going poof, world peace. Okay, first of all, I think looking at hero villain, how each side looks at the other that way,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
And
no, and
how
I'm
they
saying for me, it's very, very clear in the sense that I'm in a war zone in a sense,
yes.
and so this is just the common, the last few years of what we've kind of been going through, and so we obviously have our points of view, and so that's where it's hard because like it sometimes you just feel like how is this how will it ever happen, and that's like the piece that I'm
Yes,
honing
it's
in on.
so important, and I didn't wanna infringe into that
No, no,
territory.
there's no,
I
it's
wanted to
okay.
get there because I'm kind of as neutral a third party as you can get there, and I as just from my perspective personally, it's just that I don't know enough. I deliberately have not tried to learn so much because I know that if I do get into learning, I need to learn it all. Like, I need to really
Yeah.
understand it. And so and it's such complex, and there's
Yeah,
so much
and I really
his
appreciate that because
yeah, and
I'm
there's so
very
much
similar.
history there to go, this or that. And even still saying that, looking at, okay, let's list those obstacles. What are they? And I might put a link in the show notes to an ad campaign. I think Guinness did it. Did you ever see that ad campaign where they had two people totally opposite sides of an issue? Like, one was anti-trans and one was a trans person that they didn't recognize was a trans person. And they went in there like felt so strong about their views. And then they put them in a room and they said, um, here's some, I think it was like IKEA furniture or something, build this together. And here's some Guinness. And by the end, they're like, oh, I think I didn't know you were trans. Wow, that's really interesting. Like, boom,
Yeah,
and of course it's a little utopian. And it's also a really great moral lesson
right,
and things. And so I think this would be incredibly powerful for you to be thinking, especially from that particular perspective, is what are the obstacles that are in our way? Like, what are those things? And what are the obstacles maybe from both perspectives? And so you could even role play, okay, if I was the other side, how would I see this? If I was this side, how I would see it. And,
right,
and sometimes it's clear, like I have a much stronger point of view about Ukraine and Russia. To me, that is
right,
pretty one side is bad and one side is doing everything they can to survive.
right,
So, if other people have different opinions, feel free to weigh in, but that seems pretty obvious. And still you have to look and go, "Well, why is the aggressor doing the aggression?"
right.
So anyway,
Yeah,
I
it's hard and it's complicated and it's complex and I do my best to really ask all the questions that I can, especially about the other side, because I'm not, naive to think that what I'm watching or what I'm seeing isn't going to be biased. Is it going to be based on my preferences? Being a, Jewish man in Israel is going to see different things than someone who's in any other place in the country, in the world, seeing things differently. So, I've asked some of these difficult questions, and some of these I just don't know how, we get to a good
Well,
place. It's a
and
hard
just
thing.
ask the questions, list the obstacles. Just list the obstacles. You don't even have to answer that question. You can just say, "Here are all the list of the things that are in the way." And then, when you're talking about a wish that ripples and you're talking about something that a lot of people care about, then and we're saying world peace, and now you're kind of narrowing it maybe to a specific uh conflict, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
Then we can get clearer, right, on what the obstacles are. Because world peace, it's
Right.
a lot harder nut to crack. It's more theoretical than practical. Like, okay, here's the
Yeah.
practical issues, and
Well, the way I see it is if we could solve this, we can solve anything. That's the truth.
yeah, and yes, and because we can when if we have a methodology for how we solved it, then that's what we can apply, right?
Right.
And that's what I'm hoping to do within all this wishing and the science and looking at some of these other, scientific principles is like science is telling us some of these answers. Now
Right.
let's apply them, right?
Yep.
So let's have some fun with an activity card. Um, and I'll just, again, I have hundreds of these, and you can see they're all like different sciences and all this stuff. So,
Yep.
um, so I'm just randomly drawing one. Oh, this is a really interesting one.
And not a random one, I bet.
Yeah, I know. This has got several sciences. It's got neuroscience, it's got psychology, it's got biology, and then it's got into what I call the spiritual metaphysical. Because I like writing about that stuff and I love talking about that. And one of the aspects of cosmic wishing is what I call cosmic collaboration. And what that means is that we have our wish. I talk about the difference between a wish, a prayer, and a goal, right? And a goal is something you can control, and a prayer is usually when it's not in your control. And wishing kind of allows for both, right? And the
Yeah.
cosmic collaboration is when there's certain amount that you don't feel the control over. There's something outside, some sort of collaboration that has to happen. And that can be defined by quantum physics or by science, or it can be defined by some sort of spiritual or metaphysical aspect. And the word cosmic, just as an FYI, if you look up Merriam-Webster, it's got a three-part definition. The first one is universe or universal. The second one is spiritual or metaphysical, and the third one is, all inclusive or comprehensive,
Right.
right?
Okay, it
So,
covers all of it then.
it kinda covers it, so that's why it was not an accident to choose,
Nope.
cosmic as the word of, like, cosmic wishing means it's not just poof out there, it's like, "Okay, we're pulling all this stuff together." So, anyway, the title here is The Skeptic's Doorway. And
Okay.
this is good because there're gonna be some people going, "Okay, Nachman, yeah, right. Like, you really think you can have any influence on world peace?" And, it was funny when the person was wishing for the Mets to go to the World Series. He thought that was impossible, but honestly, by the time we went through the thing, he was like, there was a whole lot of really beautiful things that he could start doing to really help make that happen. Like,
Yeah.
and one of them was to build a yaysayer group. Yeah, because there's so many people lamenting. He's like, okay, every week they're going to get together and they're going to be talking about, or after every game, what did we do right? Let's celebrate all our wins. We may not have won the game, but we won this, this, and this. This guy played well, or this guy did this, or we made this point, or and
Yeah.
that energy will carry forward, and they can feel the difference. It's not impossible. I know I told him
Yep.
I was in Atlanta when the Braves went from worst to first that year. I don't know if you remember that year. But that was a pretty big deal. So it's possible. And then he got mad because I was Atlanta and nobody wanted to talk about the
Yeah.
Mets. Anyway, the skeptic's doorway. And this is an activity card. You don't have to believe anything to wish well. The default mode network is real. Neuroplasticity is real. The reticular activating system is real. Mirror neurons, oxytocin, predictive processing, all measurable, all studied, all working, whether you believe in them or not. I'm going to explain what some of these things are so people go, what are you talking about? Today, set aside any spiritual framework you're skeptical of. Just wish using the science. Notice what happens anyway. The universe doesn't require your belief to participate.
I love it.
So tell me what you think about that because of your perspective, and then I'll explain mirror neurons and some of that. But how does that resonate with you? How does that land with you?
Yeah, I believe it's more of what you think becomes your reality. And what you put out there is what goes out there. And no matter, like you said, what you believe or not, thoughts are energy. And what it's something that has an effect, whether you know it or not, on the collective whole. And so you might as well make it positive and good and really push it in a good way.
Yeah, that's right. And so it and with all these things, just to give a quick, explanation, the default mode network is the part of your brain that, in fact, mine was like crazy last night. It's when you turn off a certain part of your brain, like you're thinking, and then that you go off and kind of zone out, and then all of a sudden these little ideas will pop up, right? I in my TEDx talk, which is coming out in a month or so, and who knows when people are listening to this, but I talk about this, like how do you activate the default mode network? And one of the examples is Aaron Sorkin, the writer. You probably know who he is, and he talks about when he's in writing mode, he takes like 7 showers a day,
Wow.
and what he's doing is that's his way of triggering the default mode
Yeah.
network. So
Because
there's a
that's why a
part of
lot of
our
people say it comes out in the shower.
Yeah, in the shower, and for me, it was the middle of the night, and all of a sudden, like, idea, boom, 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 boom. Like, all these little idea bubbles were all over the place, and I had to kind of put my brain aside to be open to accepting those. Neuroplasticity is you repeat it, right? You got to
Yeah.
repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. So world peace, world peace, world peace, world peace. Repeat it. And we're big on at Cosmic Wishes. We're big on rituals and daily rituals. So daily rituals can help.
It's not going to be anything too crazy for me, being a observant Jew who has to do this all day, every day,
Yeah.
with rituals.
And let's make sure that, and maybe that's something you can talk about on your when you do your posts and your talks and everything, is what ritual are we going to do today for world peace,
Yeah.
right?
No, I
What
mean that's the thing in the prayers. It's said over and over in many ways. So it's yeah,
Okay, now maybe what we do, we expand it and say, okay, now give us those obstacles or the answers, right? So we're
right,
asking for something specific so that we're turning on that part of our brain that's looking for this. And all of a
right,
sudden, in the middle of the night, like one of the ideas I had at somebody wished for world peace and then they went into the Ukraine conflict, for example. What if kids started writing letters to Putin saying, please withdraw from Ukraine? Like, and he gets
right,
thousands of letters. I mean, a little idea like that could be something that really is a wish that ripples,
right,
right? So you may have something similar, like every day. What do we? So it's beyond the prayer, but it's also activating the science in the brain,
right,
and that's where neuroplasticity, reticular activating system, is a different part of your brain. It's the thing when you say, "Okay, give me signs for this," you're going to start seeing signs for that, and you're
right.
going to be finding
Yeah,
things.
like don't think about a pink elephant.
Right, right, exactly. And it's like, okay, I'm thinking about buying this kind of car, and then all of a sudden you see that car everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
And it feels like you're getting some sort of spiritual connection, and it may or may not be, depending on how you
Right.
believe, right? That's the thing. That's the point of the other card, was you don't have to believe it, right?
Right.
Um, and then our mirror neurons is when you say it, and this is the beauty of what you're doing in your world right now, is you're sending out messages, and you're getting people to connect with those messages, and
Right.
in what's called mirror neurons, and they're connecting. And the more you give them solutions, and so maybe you're posting, you're saying, "Give me answers for world peace. Give me all the ideas. Go crazy. Let your reticular activating system look for signs that we're doing it and it's happening." And whatever the wins we can have for the day, and then maybe it's also the default mode network might come up with some wild stuff. Um, and
Yeah.
and and so maybe that's you're building that community to help you get those solutions. And maybe something, well, I was gonna say maybe something you've never considered. And I'm like, it's probably something
Yeah. Yeah.
you haven't considered, right? This is where
Yeah.
you wishes where the opportunity for the whole idea of wishing opens up that possibility, right? And makes you start thinking, okay, if I'm wishing for this, that there's a part of you that's either trying to connect with something that you're not connecting with every day, or is something you're not quite there yet, and you want to have a direction, right?
Right.
So, I don't know. I think you got some good cards today. What do you think?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I loved it. This is great.
Well, thanks. Any questions or anything else, or do you want to throw out a whimsical wish before we go?
I don't even know. I'm very simple. So whimsical is not usually in my nature. So it'd probably be a good thing to do.
So you wish to have a whimsical wish.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably about right.
That's a good place to kind of wrap up. Is also, anybody out there you don't have a whimsical wish for one, and then share with us what that is, and share with Nachman what you think his could be. Give him some crazy ideas for a whimsical wish. I mean, whether it's for animals to talk or the Mets to go all the way. Then let's because there is science and fun.
Yeah, for
And we need
sure.
to always make it fun to keep it going. And that's what I'm trying to do on the show as well. So
Amazing. You're doing a great job, though.
thank you. Thank you. Well, thanks for being here. And thanks
Pleasure.
everybody for watching and listening. If you keep listening, there's a little bonus at the end, but I'll let that happen. And thanks and share and all those good things. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks so much for joining us. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. And keep an eye out for Brownell's TEDx talk coming soon. The Art and Science of Wishing, now available. And as a special thank you for watching to the end, please visit brownelllandrum.com/bonus for a free gift. May your cosmic wishes light the sky.